Welcome back, everyone. We are here with the Hasbro Marvel team again. Didn't embarrass myself or them too much last time, so I was invited back to chat about Fan Fest, and we're here with three gentlemen that likely need no introduction, but we're going to do it anyway. So maybe start with Dan and tell us who you are and what you do, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Yo, what's up, guys? I'm Dan Yoon. I'm on the global marketing team for Marvel Legends.
I'm Ryan Ting, also on the global marketing team for the wonderful Marvel Legends line.
And I'm Dwight Stahl. I'm Senior Design Manager on the Marvel Legends product side of the business.
Cool. So it's really nice to be invited back and to do this again. It's cool to get to have this interaction. And we had the Fan Fest on Friday, and I got to be in like a small part of it on the live stream and the little panel, which was really cool. Just nice to be involved and even be approached. But it was cool to be able to kind of see all those reveals with a few other folks that I talk to on the regular, that also do YouTube stuff and are big on social media. So it was cool to see all those reveals live, but then also to sort of see other folks' reactions at the same time. So obviously we're going to talk about Fan Fest, and that's kind of the confines of the discussion. So we've got a few questions to kind of maybe probe a little bit, or how we have to try to glean any kind of details possible. I'm not going to harp on double elbows. I know that's already been done a few times. I'm happy that they're coming. That's about it. I'm happy that they're coming. So we'll start and stop there. But speaking of new figures, the Iron Man wave is an interesting wave because it's overwhelmingly an armor heavy wave, and then we've got that crazy Build-A-Figure, which to me seems like opens up a lot of possibilities for stuff related to Ursa Major. But then when I think about that wave in particular, my mind immediately goes to retro carded stuff. Just like, you guys had Doom, and then we got a retro carded Doom. What are the chances that we're going to see any kind of retro carded Iron Man stuff in the same vein as that Doom, but in the line of the 90s Toy Biz stuff, where they had like the kind of crazy cutout card backs with the modular armor pieces? Not necessarily modular armor like that, but is that something that you guys think of when you plan out that wave? Like, we've got this very 90s Iron Man, now would be a time to, give them another retro carded wave of figures.
Yeah, I think so. Back, when we started doing those Toy Biz inspired retro waves with the gray card with the blue top part and the little yellow stars, it was kind of like an afterthought almost. Like we needed some new items, and that made sense. But now I think we have a little more forethought. So certainly for those types of characters that that are very 90s in feel, that Toy Biz made those versions of, I think we do factor that in, like with that Doom you just saw. And so that Iron Man line was really fun. That was really cool packaging. It had all like the little like computery like graphics and stuff, and had some really cool characters. So yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. And Ultron and modular sure would look good on that. What do you guys think?
Well, I think even at one point in time that Iron Man wave was planned to be retro, right? I mean, I think the Build-A-Figure got added back in after negotiations with our Marvel partners. So we, even when that wave was kicked off, we were super excited about getting another generation of those Toy Biz era cards created. So yeah, I mean, we know we would love to get to Iron Man. Personally, it would probably be really expensive for us, but I would love to do a Ghost Rider line, because I think that was a really cool card look as well. Dan might have more ideas as well, but I'm totally into that. And just speaking of the wave we just did, Dan brought up yesterday how awesome the modular armor would look in Capcom classic red and yellow colors, just because it would look so beautiful. And I know that was one of the most iconic figures, I would say, for the time of those old retro cards. And I remember I wasn't even buying those at that time, but I remember how cool that one looked on the card.
That Iron Man wave was honestly, like, when I was a kid, that was probably one of my first action figure toys. So that line honestly has a special place in my heart. I love these retro carded figures. Like, they're like my favorites. And Dwight already spilled its secret, but this wave, like, honestly, we were initially thinking about making it a retro carded wave. And so I don't think that possibility is out of the question for the future. you know.
Does that kind of thing part of the planning process for characters that are kind of nostalgic? Because not everything is nostalgic to everybody. There's certainly tons of people that buy Legends that have no idea what those even are, because they're pretty old at this point, relatively speaking. But is that something that goes into the plan when you guys have this very iconic thing from that Toy Biz era? Like, yeah, we should or we could eventually get to that point.
Yeah, we think about that and we actually even argue over what does retro mean a lot. It's like, obviously there's the characters that actually existed back then on that card and how it'd be great to recreate them. But then we have like subcategories of, well, what about this character? Or, what about all the amazing characters that exist nowadays that didn't exist back then, but they're still part of that particular universe? When do they deserve to be added to those types of, the retro lines? I know Kenner Star Wars figures have done that now, right? Where they've gone back and they've shown some of the prequel movies on those retro cards, and it was really cool. And we kind of have similar conversations of like, okay, these didn't exist then, but if they did, what would they have looked like? And when and where is the right time to mix those into it? Paying respect to the old stuff, but also saying, let's have some fun with it and let's put some of these new characters out in that same kind of feel, just because there's a whole bunch of collectors now that never lived through that, and they might just be excited about it just because it's something fresh and cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like we all love the original line, but we're not purists to the point where it's like, if this character wasn't in the line in the 90s, then we will never put it on the card. We mix and match, where some are very like great facsimiles of what came out in the 90s, and sometimes we take a character who wasn't in the line but do it in that cool way. Maybe it's a new character, or we mix up some deco and then just really leverage that strong card art with like a new character illustration. So I do love those fans who are Toy Biz enthusiasts as well, but then when they start to say, well, this character wasn't in the line, I kind of laugh, because that's not exactly what we're going for. We are clearly like blending the lines a little bit in that way.
Cool. Yeah, there's something about getting a figure on a card back that's really nice too. So that's also just its own thing.
But do you want the card back, or do you want Ursa Major though? Think about that too. You know what I mean?
Switching gears, as far as new figures, you guys showed one new figure from the Age of Apocalypse wave, the second wave, Sabretooth, which at the time when we heard that wave 1 was coming out, I just knew that he was going to be in wave 1. I'm like, he's such a pivotal character in that story, and he plays such a major role. So it's cool to see him getting his due in wave 2. Was there always going to be a second wave of Age of Apocalypse? Because like when you look at the build for wave 1, it's like there's a lot of holes. Obviously, there's a lot of holes because there aren't enough slots in one wave to do the roster in any fashion. But there are some I guess bigger characters that didn't get put into that. Was the plan always to do 2 waves, or was it done, or is it being done rather, in response to that wave's, I don't know, reported success or its response from fans?
I think we always knew that we could easily get to a second wave because the roster was deep enough to support a quality wave. I mean, we had to find a standalone deluxe item for Apocalypse of all characters, which is the linchpin for everything. So it was always there as something that we could look at. And I know Jesse was a big fan of these characters, and he really wanted to see more of them. So we did purposefully pull some of those big hitters out of the wave, just knowing that if we were going to get to a second wave, we would want to have some really strong characters held back for that, because we would hate to have put all of the top A tier characters in one wave, and then if the second wave was all characters like Morph and Abyss and whatever, any of the weird odd ones which are really cool, but it could have been bad to have all of them in one place at one time. So that's why you got the waving the way it was. But I don't think we went into it knowing that we were going to have a second wave following it up as quickly. I don't know if you guys can please help jog my memory.
Yeah, so I think if I remember it correctly, Dwight, like we settled on the wave with Jesse and picked who we picked, and we always knew that the universe was so deep that we could go back, and maybe it's you know, several different exclusives, or maybe it's deluxe figures like we did, or you know, some way, but not knowing exactly when or how. And then we got up on the Comic-Con panel there on the stage, and we were going through in 2019, I believe it was, and going through the Sugar Man wave. And then Jesse was with us, and then Jesse said something like, "And there's more waves to come," or he said something, and we all just kind of looked at each other like, I guess we're on the hook for this now. But yeah, we always knew it was happening, and it just worked out that it's coming out a year later. You get another Build-A-Figure wave.
Cool. I'm really excited for that wave. I love Age of Apocalypse stuff. So to see that Sabretooth was probably the highlight of the Marvel panel for me, because that's what I wanted, and he's coming in. He looks fantastic too, which of course is a nice plus. So another thing that you guys showed is the Fat Thor, the armored up Fat Thor in that new box. Is that going to be the means by which you guys go back and maybe redo characters for the MCU, or go back and do characters that have never been touched on before? Because obviously you can't get to everything in the confines of a movie cycle, or you can't get to things because they're a secret. And then, you know, like that Thor where you didn't know, and then you had to get to him later, and now he's in that snazzy new box, the Infinity Saga. So is that going to be the vessel that some of those more one-off characters get their time to shine, I suppose?
Yeah, so before we did the first 10 years program in 2018, there was like no way for us to go back to do older figures. And so that was kind of a one-off shot because it was a single anniversary. But now what's great is that Marvel itself has branded phases 1, 2, and 3 collectively as the Infinity Saga. So in short, yes, like that this does allow us to go back and more easily do characters who get updates like this Thor, or maybe even characters who we've never done. You know, certain characters who maybe I might be a big fan of, or Dwight or Dan really campaigning for, and then this is our chance to bring them out. So excited for that. The Thor figure was very well received. So yeah, I think the future is bright for MCU fans, both new entertainment and older entertainment.
Cool. It's good to see a way for that stuff to kind of trickle out, I suppose, for some of those more one-off characters that never, again, like I mentioned, never had a chance in a certain wave or a certain assortment, just due to time constraints or what you guys did or didn't know at the time. Something else that's really MCU heavy that you guys did show was role play. So, you know, you've got the Doctor Strange, the Eye of Agamotto, which I don't really do the role play stuff because I just don't know what to do with it in my house. But that thing looks really awesome. I'm really excited about that, and that price point is crazy. $50. I'm probably going to break for that one. But the one thing that I've thought about, or just, you know, been curious about, has there ever been discussion of role play outside of MCU? Like, you know, I think of the crazy Toy Biz Wolverine and Claw set back in the 90s. Has there ever been discussion of anything to sort of break into the comic side of things and give us something, you know, maybe a little bit more along the lines of that? Because I'd buy a Wolverine claw every day of the week, probably, just because I'm so heavy into the comic side of things. But has that been anything that you guys have toyed with, no pun intended, or you know, sort of tossed around?
So the Deadpool head last year was kind of in that vein. I mean, that was a very, very unique item by itself. But yeah, it's been on our kind of boards and brainstorm meetings we've had. When the role play line launched back in 2016, it was I think it was purposefully designed, and also from a packaging standpoint, to be inspired by the movies, because that's the biggest entry point for a lot of the casual fans and the fans of the movies. But yeah, I think we would definitely love to get to some comic inspired things at some point.
We were looking at I forgot, it was for a big meeting in a Hasbro, but Ryan and I were playing with some Wolverine claws that we found on Amazon, and they were super sharp, and we were like, oh man, this is really dangerous. It was like,
it's for the adult collector. So
sure,
sell them to someone who's not going to stab themselves with it.
I think for role play items, we definitely are, you know, we always discuss all items that are possible, and they're awesome for wear and display. So that's what you guys can do with it. And I think looking forward, those possibilities will hopefully open up and we can go into more comic-based stuff too. I don't know about Wolverine claws, but we'll find a way, you know.
One can hope. I'll keep some optimism towards getting a nice razor sharp set of claws one day. The big thing, and we have to talk about the big thing. The big thing was the tease at the end for this HasLab project that's coming. So obviously the Sentinel is coming soon-ish, and you guys teased a Fantastic Four themed HasLab project. So what is I guess the process by which, whatever it happens to be, you know, if you want to let it fly right now and just tell everybody, get it off your chest, that's fine with me. What's the process by which whatever it happens to be is the thing that gets chosen for this? You know, whether it's the Fantastic car like some people think, or whether it's Galactus, whether it's, I don't know, Giganto from issue number 1's cover, whatever you want it to be. What's the process by which we are getting the next HasLab project? Why you guys decide what gets to make the cut?
We started with about 20 concepts, ranging from all different pieces of Marvel Comics, as well as some MCU based characters, as well as some role play type items for what we could do next. And we kind of boarded them out. We threw them all on a war room wall, and we were going through discussing what we liked and what we didn't like. And when we're in those meetings, often Ryan and Dan are madly typing, double checking like anniversaries of things yet to come. And one of the anniversaries that was aligning with the timing of what we were looking to, you know, of some of the concepts on the wall, was that the Fantastic Four anniversary was hitting real soon. And we thought that allowed us to have a good story to come to the fans. And, you know, while there were many concepts on the wall that we love, and I honestly hope 5 or 6 of those actually will hopefully be HasLab's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, whatever down the line, if they continue to be as successful as the Sentinel was. I hope we get to a lot more of them outside of Fantastic Four as well. But that was kind of a big piece of us leaning in the Fantastic Four direction, at least in the early stages. And then once we got to the Fantastic Four, like you said, you just mentioned a few. We talked about the Fantastic Four, the Baxter Building, Galactus, the giant mole monsters. You know, there's so much cool, weird stuff, Dragon Man, so many weird things that we could talk about and look into doing. It was just kind of picking the one that we thought was, you know, the most fun and would be the most impactful to follow the massive success of the Sentinel.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are always curious about how we collect or choose characters and things of that nature. But ultimately, and this is like Ryan's answer, is that there's just a lot of meetings and a lot of collaboration with both internally within our group and also with Marvel. Like Jesse is our go-to like big brother, you know what I mean? There's no cool process like a rap battle or big like breakdance kind of battle that I kind of hope we do one day. But
maybe we should.
We'll each pick a character or a HasLab idea, but ultimately it takes a lot of just discussion, a lot of thinking with our partners about what's best for a business case and also what we think the fans would support ultimately.
Cool.
Yeah, and to that point too, just from the business side, it is a crowdfund model, right? So we were very, very thankful for the great support for Sentinel, but like when we think about concepts, yeah, there's a lot of cool concepts, and we see the comments of people saying, oh, you should do this. Like, yeah, that would be a cool item, but are you going to get enough people to plop down however much money it's going to cost to tool that up and produce it and ship it all around the world? So that's kind of a reality of it. So, you know, we still think there's a lot of great ideas that enough people would be willing to support.
Cool. Well, I think you've already got my order, regardless of what it is at this point. I'm just eagerly awaiting my Sentinels, and then we'll move on to the next one. So that was it, guys. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with me today. Appreciate you guys inviting me to even do this in the first place, and look forward to what's coming.
Where are you going to put your 3 Sentinels, man?
I have no idea, man. One's probably going to get stolen by my daughter, and then I'll figure out where the other 2 have to go after that. So.
Thanks for your support, brother. And we always check you out on YouTube and on Twitter and things of that nature. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
I appreciate it, guys.
A really nice shadow box would go good on that blue wall behind you.
Yeah, I don't know if my wife wants a whole bunch of toys in our office. I've got to keep at least one room clean.
Fair enough.
I say that, and there's a Sentinel in a chair over there. But yeah, so appreciate it, guys.
Sure.
All right.
Take it easy.
Thanks.
Peace.